So let's begin in any seated position that feels comfortable to you. You can kneel, you can sit cross-legged or legs extended. You can even sit in a chair, but I would like you to just take a comfortable seat. And use these first few moments of class to connect with your breath, but also to notice your hips, to just do a little check-in assessment with these two really important joints in our body. If you just bring to mind the hip joint itself, there's a large bone of your thigh called the femur. It has a round head and it plugs into the side of your pelvis. And it's really mobile. It's designed to allow you to be mobile. So it moves forward, back, side, in and out, and in rotation. So that's our work today, is moving that femur bone in all of its possible directions and noticing which muscles, ligaments, tendons create resistance in those ranges of motion. So just as you sit here with no movement, is there any pain or tightness in your hips? And let's take deeper breaths in through the nose and out. Shakira, the wise philosopher, says, hips don't lie. And as a yoga teacher, I will tell you, as a yoga therapist, that our hips is a storage place for emotions. And so we start looking here, and don't be surprised if you feel different emotions during this practice as things start to dislodge and loosen and come out into the open. Go ahead and move your body around into child's pose, using any props today that you need to use to be more comfortable. So one option is a blanket rolled up on the backs of your calves that your hips can rest on. Start to shift your hips side to side. Let's just first notice the outer edges of our hips. Maybe your knees are wide, maybe they're narrow, but just notice as you move your body to the right and the left, how that feels. Notice you can bring breath deeper into your back and your body in this position. So do that. Come up to a tabletop position and continue that sideways movement. It's like a dog wagging its tail. Hands planted, knees cushioned if you like, and just shift side to side. And back in the center, tuck your tailbone, round your spine down into cat. Let all your breath go. And then lift your tailbone, arch your back, come into cow. Breathe in and move with your breath. And although this is a warm-up for the spine, bring attention down to your sacrum, your tailbone, your pelvis. Slow, easy movements. Walk your hands forward just a little bit and shift your body so that you're in a kneeling plank, and then let your hips drop down to where you feel a stretch across your hip flexors. It's almost like up dog, kind of a lazy up dog. And then shift back towards child's pose. Let's move with breath. Inhale, open the fronts. Feel the hip flexors. And then exhale, fold the hip flexors, stretch the glutes. Start to hear the sound of your breaths, like ocean waves. Tuck your toes under and lift your hips into downward facing dog. Continuing to explore the hips. This is just our little assessment. How are your hips today? How are your hips? You're just pedaling your heels, moving side to side. What's here to be noticed? Take your feet wide, the outer edges of your mat. Come way up on your tippy toes, so stretching the bottoms of your feet. Put a big bend in your knees, and now press your hips back. Press your hips back and slowly straighten your legs. Lift your toes. Let's do that again. Lift to the toes. Very deep bend in your knees. Hips press back. And then slowly straighten your legs and lift your toes off the mat. We'll go one more time there. Lift, bend, press, and straighten. With knees soft, let your hands start to walk back toward your feet. And come down into this very wide forward bend. You can touch your elbows and just hang here or support with your hands. Deep breaths. Shift your weight all the way into your left foot and then over into your right foot. Just let your body weight shift and notice again those outer edges, inner edges. Notice the front of the hips that's folded, the back of the hips where there is length. And release your fingers in the center, lengthen to a flat back. Walk your fingers around toward the edge of your left foot. Come back to center and switch. And with your straight, flat back, just move from foot to foot, finding those outer edges. And back to center. Lengthen again through the crown of your head and exhale to forward fold. Lift and lengthen. Bring your hands to the crease of your hips. Feel that tight hip flexor there. Knees bend, straighten your spine, come to stand. Open your palms forward. Your feet are still wide, so standing a little wider than hips distance. Let's inhale the arms overhead. Exhale through heart center, hinge from the hips back down into your fold. Bend your knees, scoop up again, reach tall. Come through heart center, sink down, sit low. Once more, reach high. Sit low. Arms reach overhead, interlace your fingers, press palms to the ceiling. And now just work to get longer through the side body. Press your palms up, root your feet down. This one always makes me yawn. It's like your body's just asking for more oxygen. Release the fingers. Let the left arm come down to the thigh. Right arm comes up higher. Side body stretch. Like there's a handle that you're pulling yourself up with on the ceiling. Switch sides. Lift and lengthen. Rib cage expands. Both arms come up again. Cross your right leg behind your left leg. You're going to stand here with your feet a little bit apart but crossed. And bend again toward your left side. That should bring the sensation down into that outer hip. Breathe here. And come back to center, both arms high. Separate your feet, just stand in mountain. Swan dive, forward fold. Feel your hamstrings. Press to half lift. And fold again. Softening the knees, arms sweep high, reach overhead. Cross your left leg behind your right and separate your feet a little bit. Now reach over toward the right side. Bring that stretch down into the outer hip. Move your breath lower. Come back to center. Uncross the foot. Swan dive. Forward fold. Notice now. Is anything changing around your hips? In this folded over position, bring the right foot again behind the left foot. Cross your feet, separate the feet a little bit. And now walk your fingers over toward your left foot. Sorry, I think that's your right foot. The one that's behind. And you almost can like touch the arch, the bottom of that foot that's behind. Should really be feeling something around the outside of the hip. And come back to center. Release both feet. Press to lift halfway. And fold again. Cross your left foot behind your right foot. And walk the hands over to the right so that you can feel the arch of that back foot here. Stretch around the outside of your left leg, left hip. And uncross back to center. You should be at the back of your mat, so go ahead and walk your hands forward. Come into downward facing dog. And again, let's pedal the heels and just see if anything is opening for us here. We'll raise one leg up, open the hip to the side, circle your ankle. Release and switch. Other leg up, bend the knee, open the hip, circle the ankle. And release, downward facing dog. Shift forward into plank pose and just drop your knees. Bend the elbows lower to the earth and come up into cobra. Start to feel the back of the body strong. Slow breath. Feel your belly pressing into the earth as you inhale. Feel your body softening as you exhale. And press again, child's pose. This time, knees a little closer together and shift from side to side. Let's come up into a tabletop position, and we'll step the right foot forward, coming down into kneeling lunge. So we're going to take a really long journey, 360 degrees around this left hip. We'll start with the left hip. So starting with iliopsoas, hip flexor. Pause right here to just feel that muscle lengthening. Let's tuck the back toes under and lift the knee off the floor. Shift way up onto your toes and back to your heel. Just feeling all of that length in the front of your back leg. Bring the hands to the inside of your front foot and start to walk yourself to the middle, the wide edge of your mat. This front knee stays bent. The back leg is long. We're going to move into the inner thigh. So just kind of a half of a straddle stretch. Lift and lower. Start to feel those adductors, inner thigh muscles lengthening. Lift up, come to center. We're going to walk all the way around toward that back foot. Drop your back knee and straighten your left leg. Right? Find your hamstring. And then bring both of your hands to the outside of that leg, that long leg that's in front of you. See if you can feel something happening around the outer edge. And come back to center. So that was 360 degrees around the left leg. Let's come to kneeling lunge, and we'll repeat that journey now for the right hip. So start by feeling this stretch in the front of your right quadricep, hip flexors. Deep breaths, long spine, ease. Bring your hands to the inside of your left foot. And tuck the back toes under. Start to roll through that back foot, coming on to your toes and back to your heel. Just rocking your body forward and back. Finding some joy here as you move through your hips. And then come toward the center. You're going to keep that left knee bent, straighten your right leg, and start to pull here into a gentle stretch for the inner thigh. And just lift and lower. Notice the two sides, really different worlds. Come to center, both legs straight, folding forward into wide straddle. Just bend and straighten your knees a couple times. Feel hips here. And begin to make your way toward your right foot. Back to where we started. Let's step the back foot to meet the front foot. Come into forward fold. See if anything's loosening now. Press hands to shins, lift halfway. And with a bigger bend in the knees, sweep the arms up, extended mountain. Reach tall. Hook your thumbs and move into a little bit of a back bend. Just let your thumbs pull back behind your ears, your chest lifts. Feel what's happening in your hips in a standing back bend. Switch the opposite thumb over. Keep lifting. Breathe and pull. Gorgeous. Release your hands, swan dive, forward fold. Feel your hips here, press to half lift. And exhale, downward facing dog. Raise one leg up high. Bend the knee and open up through that hip. And we're just going to do some hip circles here. Just move that femur bone around in either direction. Move the other way. Feel what's happening around your hips. And switch. Leg comes up and open, circles with the femur. Notice the difference, right and left. Switch. Release that foot to the floor. Come into plank pose, drop your knees lower to your belly. Arms come behind you, locust. Either reach your arms or interlace your hands and open your chest. Your feet can press down or lift up. Feel your glutes working here and your belly pressing into the floor. Release hands to the shoulders. Come up to tabletop and back to child's pose. Move from side to side. Tuck your toes, lift your hips. Downward facing dog. Looking forward, walk your feet to your hands and lift halfway. On your exhale, grab the back of your heels and gently pull yourself down into a little deeper stretch. So now you should be feeling the backs of your legs more. Elbows bent, head down, long breath. Fingertips to the floor, lift and lengthen, and then sweep your arms up high. Once again, extended mountain, hook your thumbs, find your back bend. Now we've moved back into the front of the hips. Nice. Let your hands come down to heart center. Shift your weight to your right foot. Feel your right foot pressing into the mat. Your body is tall. Lift your left foot up. And in super slow motion, glide this foot back. Glide the foot back. Just come to balance. As you reach that leg back, your body is leaning slightly forward as a counter. And then go ahead and touch the toes and find lunge. Find balance here. Work around until you really feel stable through your feet. and then arms reach high. Take a hold of your left wrist with your right fingers and pull up on that side of the body. I think you should make that noise too. Going deep into the hip flexors. Lengthen and breathe. Coming back to center, slowly lower your torso over that front leg, fingers to the floor, drop your back knee, and we'll move into a twist, which is also a really deep hip opener. So for option one, just reach your right arm behind and turn to look toward that hand. Option two, pick the foot up off the floor. Option three, see if there's a way to bind this pose that feels good to your body. Breathe here, open your chest either way, whichever you've chosen. If your back foot is lifted, set it down on the floor. Plant your left hand and turn your right toes toward the right edge of your mat. So you're just going to pick up your heel and pivot that foot back so that you can lift onto the back or the outside edge of your back foot. Just feel that. Should feel a nice, spacious opening in that left outer leg. You have the option to reach your arm up over and lift the hip high, and then drop the hip down. Or you can just stay in one place. See if you can press into the outside edge of your left foot and stretch all the way up into your waist. Release to center, both knees on the mat. Tuck your toes, downward facing dog. See if you feel any difference, left hip and right. If you'd like, you can take a vinyasa here. Bill, this is where you can do 20 push-ups. And we will all slowly walk again to the top of the mat, lifting halfway and sweeping arms high. Hook the awkward thumb, the one that you go to do and then do the other one. Back bend. Nice. And bring your hands to your heart. You might feel a little off center here because we've only done one side of that sequence. So put your weight in your left foot, pick up your right heel. Go ahead and pick that foot all the way up, find your balance, and begin to go slow motion, reaching the leg back. Slow motion, the torso tilts forward as a counterbalance. When you're all the way extended, drop your toes and find high lunge. Really get your feet rooted. Good. Take a hold of your right wrist and stretch the right side of your body. Powerful breath here, friends. What are you noticing in your hips today? What answers are being revealed in your hips? Let's release the fingers to the earth, set the back knee down. So here, Option 1 is just to reach the arm back. Option 2, bend the knee. And if it's easy for you to grab and open up your chest, go ahead and do that. I always get a little Charlie horse on this one side the first time I try that. Deep breaths, everybody. Happy hips. The poet Rilke says, live the questions now. So these things we find in our hips, we don't really have to figure out. We're just asking, what's here? Let's release. And now we'll move into that side hip stretch. So the first thing we're going to want to do is pick up the toes and pivot the toes to the outside edge of the mat so that we can lift up onto the outside of our right foot. Takes a little bit of strength. You can stay here, or you can add that arm motion of lifting the hips and lowering, which I really love because you get both hips. You can also do this on your elbow if this hurts your wrist. Release the hand, come to all fours and back to child's pose. Option to lift onto your toes and come into downward facing dog. Take a vinyasa if you like. We'll make our way back once again to the top of the mat. Press, half lift, and scoop the arms high. Reach as high as you can. Cactus the arms into a back bend. Breathe here. And draw your hands to the front of your chest. Let's step to the wide edge of our mat. I'm going to do one more standing sequence to really help us find these deep muscles. So with your feet wide, turn your left toes toward the top of your mat the way like you would if you were in warrior, and the back heel out. In this warrior stance, I'd like you to just bend and straighten the front knee. Just bend and straighten. See if you can feel which muscles are contracting, which muscles are stretching, and how there's this opposite action as you just juice the hip on this one side. Come down into your warrior stance, let your arms lift, core stays strong, and then just scoop your back arm forward. It'll pull the hip with it, and then out again. Pull the hip forward with it just a little and open. Reverse the warrior, come all the way back. Good. Side angle, elbow to thigh. Lift up and over, stretching around the outside of that hip, maybe a deeper lunge. And return to warrior 2. Straighten the leg, bring all 10 toes to the side of your mat. Hands on the hips, shift your hips from side to side. And feel that, the inner thigh, that femur bone moving in the hip socket. Such an amazing part of the human body. And then turn, warrior on the opposite side. You're just going to keep your hands here and straighten and bend a few times. Straighten and bend. And then open into your warrior 2. Let's take the back arm over and around. And as it comes through, let the back hip just slightly come with it. Notice that relationship between shoulders and hips. Inhale, reverse warrior. Stretch, breathe, exaggerate this breath. Good. Come up and over side angle. Feel the length in the outer hip. Drop your hips, lengthen your body. Oh, beautiful. Come back to your warrior two. All 10 toes to the side of your mat. Find solid footing, reach back, interlace, and then let's come forward into a wide straddle forward fold. Empty out a whole long breath. And let your fingertips release down to the floor, lift halfway. Toes turn out to the edges of the mat, the corners, and then lunge side to side. I'm going to invite you to go as deep as your body will allow. So if your knees are a little stiff today, you might stay up a little higher, but if your knees feel happy and healthy, you might sit all the way down into a really deep bend in the knee. Deliciousness. Come back to center one more time. Turn your body towards a downward facing dog. And we're ready to move our way into pigeon. What would a hip class be without pigeon, right? So let's take the right leg up high. And on the exhale, just slowly drag the right knee behind the right wrist. Let the foot fall wherever it does, and then drop your back knee. You can tuck your back toes and just start to inch your left knee back. Come into the depth of your stretch by moving backwards instead of moving your front foot. When you find your place, your comfortable place, relax your back foot. You can drop to elbows or stay lifted. And you might see about supporting your head here. If your hips could tell a story, what would the story be? What truths are held here? Deepen your breath and live the questions. Nothing to figure out, nothing to fix or change, just live the questions. What is here? Feel your body melting into this shape, giving up its resistance. Notice little pockets of tension starting to release. Start to come up from this posture, pressing onto hands, fingertips. Now the sensation moves back again into hip flexor. Find a little back bend here. You're also welcome to bend that knee and reach back if you like. When you feel ready, release by tucking your toes and shaking your leg out. When you're ready, we'll switch sides, slowly drawing the left knee behind the left wrist. Let the foot fall wherever it does. Drop your back knee, and then just inch your back knee backwards. You can lower to your elbows. Support your head and breathe. What is here to observe, to witness? What wants to be heard? Deep breaths all the way down into the lowest part of your belly. Breath that you can feel expanding the hip, making room, giving space. Take one more giant breath in and let the breath go all the way out as you find your way to your hands and fingertips. You can stay right here and just look towards that hip flexor. Bend the knee if you like. Reach back if that's easy for you. Your breath will let you know if you've gone too far. You can take any way out of that shape that you like, and eventually we'll come to a seat. If it helps you to sit on something like a folded blanket, grab that now and come into butterfly. And in this butterfly position, just lift and lower your knees a few times and just see if you can feel what we've been doing here in the hips. Opening, freedom, space. So we're going to cradle the baby. Take your left foot in your right hand, and you can just hold the knee with your left hand. The foot stays flexed, and this is a nice option. To go a little deeper, you can wedge your foot into the bend of your elbow. So you're holding with the elbows and just draw that leg in close to you, lift your spine. I really love to just kind of roll around on the outside of the hip here. So see how that feels? Like a little, imagine you've got a tennis ball and you're just rolling out the knots there in the hip. In these poses, I think it's really nice for you to just send loving thoughts to your hips. So, in addition to listening, speak kind words to your hips. They've served you well in this life. From here, we'll go into fire log pose. So, to keep a hold of this leg and bend the bottom knee so that your heel and knee stack up and knee and heel. And it's okay if you've got space here between. One little helpful tool is you could put something under that top knee if that feels better. If your body's built kind of like mine, a little tighter. So with a tall spine, this is fire log pose. It's probably uncomfortable already. Put both hands on top of that left knee and just gently, gently press. Sit taller. Oh. And you can either stay here or fold over your legs. It's going to be even more intense. Not painful, just intense. Stay here, just stay with this. And lift to a tall spine. Bring the soles of the feet together again. Loose butterfly, just flap your wings. And see if you can feel anything there in that left side. Let's cradle the baby on the right. So hold your foot in your left hand and the knee. You can also use your elbows. Just hug in, sit tall. If you enjoyed that massage on the first side, take that here. Just roll out your hip. Thinking positive thoughts. Like, my hips are healthy, my hips are mobile, my hips allow me to walk, ride, ski, dance, sit. And then we'll move into fire log pose. So bend your left knee and stack your shin bones. So you want your legs to do this kind of action, even if there's a little bit of space. As squared as you can possibly get them. With a really tall spine, hands on the right knee, gentle pressure. Exhale. And either stay here or fold over your legs. Two really great choices. You can explore both. Feel an unfolding with each exhale. Coming back up, let's uncross these legs. Ooh, shake them out. And then slowly lower yourself down onto your back. Let's bend the knees, place the feet flat on the ground. We're going to move into a twist. So cross your right leg over your left leg, arms open out into a T. And then just drop your knees to the left, turn your head to the right. You can stop right where your foot lands, or you can cross even more and create a little more of a bind. Steady breath. Notice what you're feeling around your hip. And then as you come back to center, Let the left leg be flat on the ground and open the right knee like you would in butterfly. Just let the knee open out to the side. Rest here. Feel your hips on the earth and your breathing body. Both knees bent, feet on the floor. We'll go the other way. So cross your left leg over your right. And as you start to drop your legs, you might stop at that very first point where your foot touches, or you can cross even more and lay your legs flat. Head turns to the left. If this creates too much pull on your back, uncross your legs and just twist. Let your shoulders be on the ground. Head looking left, eyes closed. Jaw softens. Belly breathes. As we come back to center, let's extend the right leg. Let the left knee open to the side like butterfly. And just feel this asymmetrical position of your hips. Slow breath. Feel your belly rise and fall. From here, just straighten the left leg and let yourself fall into relaxation. You might want to keep the arms out and take the feet a little wider. Let your feet flop open. If you're feeling any tension, just kind of wobble your feet from side to side a few times and let them just bounce open. Close and open your hands a few times and then let them just fall open. Give your attention to the back of your body and the parts of it that are touching the floor. Notice with each exhale, your body sinks a little more deeply into relaxation. Take a few more slow, deep, and sweet breaths here. Breaths that fill you completely and that empty entirely. In this last minute of relaxation, I'll leave you with the words of the poet Rilke. Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to live the questions themselves. Do not now seek the answers, which cannot be given you, because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. So live the questions. Take your time now as you start to transition back to a seat. Hopefully sitting on happier hips, more open hips. And bring your hands to your heart, this gesture of gratitude for your hips, these wonderful joints that make living possible. Thank you for taking time for yourself and your hips today. Hope you have a beautiful day. Namaste.